125cc bikes are pretty boring things for the most part, but this machine changed that all around in 2021. The TVS Raider basically said, yes, you can have a sensible and cost-effective motorcycle, but it can also be fun and desirable. That formula has led this to becoming TVS's best-selling motorcycle in a really short span of time. In fact, we liked the Raider so much that we gave it our Bike of the Year award in 2021. That successful formula has now led Hero to go down a similar path with the new Xtreme 125. When it comes to giving off premium bike vibes, the Xtreme even outdoes the Raider. With its aggressive headlamp, sculpted fuel tank, those large side shrouds and that sporty tail, you could easily mistake this bike for a 160, and the Xtreme scores big in this regard. The Raider is still a very stylish motorcycle, but it does feel a little more compact and petite in this company, especially in the tail section. I think Hero has done a great job here. The Xtreme does an even better job of looking and feeling like a bigger bike than it actually is compared to the Raider. Now, those of you who want something a little more subtle will probably prefer the TVS. But if you want something that looks like a 160, the Xtreme hits the spot. Both do more than simply try to look like larger machines, and they also offer you a more premium feature set than you would find on the typical 125cc commuter. For example, they both have good-looking LED headlamps that light up a road well at night. Both also have nice switchgear, monoshock rear suspension, and 5-speed gearboxes. The Hero's USP is that it's the only bike in the segment that comes with a choice of single-channel ABS, and that deserves praise. However, the Raider gives you more in terms of sheer features, including 2 riding modes, a start-stop system, a silent engine start, and a USB charging port. On top of that, the highest spec Raider SX is the only bike in the segment that comes with the choice of a Bluetooth-compatible TFT display. The Raider does pack more features than the Xtreme, and definitely the standout one here on this top model is the TFT display. Now, this is a really nice display. It looks good, well laid out, 2 different looks for day or night or eco or performance mode. And in general, it's nice to have something like this in this segment. There is one thing though that has gotten on my nerves in the last few days. Now, at the bottom of the screen, the last 20%, there's a band of space that gets used to give you a bunch of information whenever the bike comes to a standstill, like at a red light. It tells you things like wear a helmet, how to ride, how to change gears, and then some obscure things like what sort of gear to wear, how to approach corners, how to wash the bike. Now, the first time I saw this, it was interesting. It's nice to see the bike telling you this. But then to have to look at that every day, every time you come to a standstill, that gets a little tedious and it almost feels like the bike is nagging you. Unfortunately, you can't really turn this off. But TVS tells us that if you download their mobile app and connect to the motorcycle via Bluetooth, instead of displaying those standard messages over there, it could give you things like cricket scores and news updates. Now, if you like your motorcycle with all these techie sort of things in it, you will appreciate that. But if you just want a simple motorcycling experience, the better thing to do would just be to go for a lower spec version of the Raider that still comes with a neat and clean LCD display. Nevertheless, the view down for the Raider is great on both these bikes. On the TVS, you get to look at that expensive looking display, while on the Hero, the muscular fuel tank and the big side shrouds make you feel like you're on a bigger motorcycle. So that's sorted then. You won't feel like you're on a bare bones budget machine with either of these 2 bikes. But at the end of the day, these are still commuters and they need to excel at that job. And once again, both of them do really well. Both engines produce the exact same 11.4 horsepower, but the Raider has a little more torque and it produces its peak power and torque figures at lower RPMs. Couple that with what feels like shorter gearing, and the Raider is the quicker accelerating bike in our tests. It also sounds more interesting with a deeper, more bassy exhaust note. The Hero makes up ground by being even smoother than the already very refined Raider, and it feels noticeably less stressed at highway speeds. This is the nicer engine if you spend more time holding higher speeds. That being said, both bikes have a true top speed of just over 100 kph, but the Hero will show you more speedo error. In the city, the Raider has the edge, with a more torquey nature and a lighter feel on its feet. The fact that the Raider weighs 13 kilos less, has skinnier tires and comes with a start-stop system also helps it to be more fuel efficient in the city. However, the Hero clawed back an advantage in our highway test. As for the TVS's riding mode, Eco mode reduces the rev limit slightly, which ends up reducing the top speed by about 10 kph to an indicated 95 kph. Now, while we felt no noticeable difference in the power delivery when switching to power mode, it does turn off the start-stop system. To its credit, this system works well in most situations, but you will want to deactivate it in crawling, tightly packed traffic because it keeps trying to turn the engine off. Now, obviously, comfort is a really important aspect with bikes like this, but once again, both of them do a really good job. Let's start with the riding positions. Both are really similar. You've got slightly rear set foot pegs, a slight lean forward, very similar to your typical 160cc sporty commuter. Comfortable for all-day riding, but a little engaging as well. Then we come to the suspension. The Hero is a little softer and more cushy than the TVS at low speeds. So when you're riding in city and generally smooth roads, this bike does come across as a little more plush. But when the speeds rise, the TVS seems to do a better job of absorbing bigger bumps, where the Hero goes quite a bit through the stroke. So at higher speeds on bumpy roads, that is more comfortable. Lower, gentler speeds on smooth roads, this is a little more comfortable. And then there's the handling. With motorcycles that look this sporty, you'd expect them to be a little engaging as well, and both of these bikes are. The TVS has always been a very light, agile handler. It is 13 kilos lighter than the Xtreme, and it has thinner tires as well. But this motorcycle comes across as a nicer handler to me. Its wider tires, again, make it feel like a bigger 160 through the corners, a little more stability, a little more connection. And overall, while that is a good handler, I think this one puts a bigger smile on my face. The Hero not only does a little better in terms of handling, but its braking performance in our tests was a little better as well. This story of give and take continues with the pricing too, and both bikes are really closely matched here, costing anywhere between 95,000 rupees to just over 1 lakh rupees depending on the variant. Now, deciding which one is better value for money will be a personal decision as well, because some people may prefer the TVS's additional features while others may value the Hero's ABS. Picking between these two bikes has turned out to be a lot harder than I was expecting, and that's not only because they're so closely matched, but also because I really like both these bikes. Genuinely, you could walk into either showroom and buy either of these bikes and you will be happy with your decision. But we're not going to chicken out of giving you a verdict, so here's how it goes down. The Hero is better if you want the look and feel of a bigger bike. It also comes with a valuable addition of ABS, and it does a little better on longer rides at higher speeds. As for the Raider, it manages to be quicker but also more fuel efficient in the city. It also has better suspension comfort and a richer feature set. Ultimately, the Raider's advantages shine brightest within urban confines, and that's exactly the environment that such bikes are designed for. That's why it just about edges a logical win in this comparo, even though I enjoyed riding the Xtreme just as much. Ultimately though, both these manufacturers deserve a lot of your appreciation, because these are still cost-effective and sensible and practical machines, but they are exciting, they are desirable, and they do make you smile. And this is what I think the future of the premium commuter segment should be.